Good morning to everyone. In last lectures, we have discussed regarding the anatomy of eye. In today's lectures, we'll discuss the remaining parts like lacrimal nasal drainage, and tear fins, cornea, and ocular viability. So basically, for the ophthalmologist, the eye is the center of work, but they also need to remember to take a step back and look how it connects with the other tissues and organs like like it is connected to the nose also into the nose. So by keeping these in interconnected nature in mind, we can make decisions regarding the diagnostic purpose, treating the conditions, and preserving overall patient's health. So basically, lacrimal nasal drainage, that means how the tears traveling from the lacrimal glands to the nasal drainage systems. So how the tears take a travel from the eye to nose, we can say here. So in this particular diagram, we can see different parts of the lacrimal nasal drainage systems. So basically, once the tears have been secreted from the main and the accessory lacrimal glands, here we can see just 1 minute. So these are the different parts. The important parts in a lacrimal nasal drainage system are lacrimal glands, lacrimal punctums, these canaliculus, lacrimal sac, and basically nasolacrimal ducts. So the movement when the tears which are secreted from these secretory ducts through traveling through this route, that is total process called as a lacrimal nasal drainage. So basically, when when tears are secreted from the lacrimal glands and they are distributed evenly over the ocular surface by the eyelids. These are our eyelids through which they are distributed all over the ocular surface, and then they are passed into the nose through the lacrimal drainage system with the help of the lacrimal punctum. So we'll see in details what exactly this uh, punctums plays or how the drainage will be carried out. So basically, there are two punctums are there, or we call the punctum, which is situated on each leads margins at the junctions of the ciliary and the lacrimal parts on the elevations, which are called the lacrimal papillars, means this part basically they are called as a punctum. Lacrimal punctums are there for the lacrimal punctures. So upper punctum which is 6 mm and lower punctums which is a 5.5 6.5 mm from the medium canthus and which is surrounded by various fibrous tissue which keeps them perfect. This is the lacrimal punctums. Basically, from where the actual tears just travel through the nasal drainage system. Here we can see. Then second part, that is a caniculus. There are three caniculus: inferior caniculus, superior caniculus, and a common caniculus. Where this inferior and superior caniculus that get mixed. So two in numbers and joins the punctus to the lacrimal sacs. So two parts are there: vertical 2 mm and horizontal 8 mm at the junctions dilated to form the ampulla. So where common caniculus are formed. So pierce the lacrimal fascia and unite to form the common canicular open into the lacrimal sinus of man. So here they will form the common caniculus. Okay, means this is inferior part and this is your superior parts, and then they will comes together at a common canicular and they will opens into the lacrimal sinus. So at the opening into the sac that protected by the valve of Resinimulars. So they are directly open into the lacrimal sacs. We'll see traveling process, but first we'll see about the different parts are there. So this particular lacrimal canalicula that's surrounded by the fibers of orbicularis oculi muscles during the blink. So जर आपण डोळे बंद होतात तर during the blink canaliculi pulley medially shortens and compressed by the pars lacrimalis and also helps for the dilations of lacrimal sacs. So that already we have discussed in eye anatomy how the dilations and the contractions is carried out. So this is the another important parts in uh, lacrimal nasal drainage system. Then come to the third important part, that is the lacrimal sac. Lacrimal sacs, so upper expanded portions of the nasal lacrimal drainage, so which is lodged in the lacrimal fossa. Medial walls is lamina, trapecia formed by the lacrimal bones and frontal process of maxilla. So this is the lacrimal sac which is surrounded by the lacrimal fascia which results from the splitting in periorbital. So between the sac and the fascia there are various venous fluxes are there, and there is a one nasolacrimal duct is also there. Here we can see the nasolacrimal ducts. Sorry. Nasolacrimal duct is there. So nasolacrimal duct which is extend from the lacrimal sacs to the inferior meatus. So here this is the lacrimal sacs and this is the extended from the lacrimal sac to the inferior meatus of the nose. So here inferior nasal concha is there and inferior nasal meatus is there. So basically this particular nasolacrimal duct which is extended from the lacrimal sac to the inferior nasal meatus, which is 18 mm in length and 3 mm in diameter. So upper end is narrowest and runs downwards, backwards and laterally. So which is lined by the two layers of columnar epithelium and which has the intraosseous and the intramural parts. And then this is our nasal cavity where our tears is entered through the particular system or the drainage system. So basically drainage of the lacrimal fluid from the nasolacrimal duct into the nasal cavity with the help of the gravity which helps the downward flow. So air current in the nose which induce the negative pressures within a nasolacrimal duct and draws the fluid down the potential lumens of the duct into the nose. So through the gravity, the airs which is present in the nose that will induce the negative pressures, and that negative pressures that will help for the within a pressure within a nasolacrimal duct that helps the fluids down the potential to into the nose. Then there is a Hasner's walls is present at the lower end of the nasolacrimal duct. Here is one valve is there. It is called the Hasner's walls, which remains open as long as the pressures within the nose is less than the nasolacrimal duct and allows the tear to flow from the nasolacrimal duct to the nose. Now, how it is traveled basically? So basically, once tears have been secreted from the main and the accessory lacrimal gland, which is distributed evenly over the ocular surface. This is our lacrimal gland from where our tears are secreted. So these are the tears, suppose they are secreted from here. So through this particular uh, Means once the tears are secreted, they are distributed evenly over the ocular surface by the eyelids. These are our eyelids. Okay. Then, then they are passed into the nose through the lacrimal nasal drainage system. So, which is beginning with the upper and the lower punctum that we call it the lacrimal punctums are there. So, lacrimal punctums and means upper and lower punctum. Each of these drains into the canaliculus. So here are inferior canaliculus and superior canaliculus are there. They have meet at one common point that are called as a common canaliculus, which carries the tears through the ampulla, which is the short vertical sections of the tube, which is until turning towards the nose in horizontal directions, and then canalicular may join into the common canaliculus and enter into the lacrimal sac. So here we can see basically first from here our tears are secreted through the eyelids. They are distributed all over the ocular surface. Now the lacrimal punctums, there are two punctums are there. So they are these particular punctums drains the tears into the canaliculus. There are two canaliculus, inferior canaliculus and superior canaliculus. They have meet at one common point which is called as a common canaliculus, so which is open into the lacrimal sac. So, so basically the mechanisms of this part, that is the movement of the tears into the nose via an active lacrimal pump assisted by the some muscle groups. So when the eye is open, the normal state of the puncta and the canicula is also open, but the lacrimal sac is empty or collapsed. When things occurs, the surrounding muscle contract in such a way that canaliculi are pinched and closed. So simultaneously, the collapsed walls of the lacrimal sac are drawn away from each other, so that sac is open, and that will create the negative pressure. So that negative pressures helps the pulling or helps the draw the tears uh, into the nasal cavity through the inferior through the nasolacrimal duct. So this is the simple process of how the tears are traveled uh, from from nose to the from the eyes to the nose. So this is total process is called as a lacrimal nasal drainage system. So why it is important? Because once we are administered any drug in our eyes, so this system will affect on your bioavailability. So that we are going to discuss later on another oral bioavailability topic, the ocular bioavailability topic. So that's why this system you have to understand different parts which are involved in a lacrimal nasal drainage system. The nasolacrimal drainage systems are there. So simple thing. First, lacrimal glands. First, lacrimal glands that secretes the, which you have the secretory part which secretes the tears. So with the help of the eyelids, they are distributed all over the ocular surface. Then the lacrimal punctums are there. Two lacrimal punctums are there. They drain the tears into the lacrimal sacs with the help of these two caniculus, superior caniculus and inferior caniculus. They meet at one point which is called as a common caniculus. It will enter into the lacrimal sacs, and then lacrimal sacs, they will generate a negative pressure here, and because of the negative pressure whatever the tears are there, they are drained into the nasolacrimal duct, and through the nasolacrimal duct they are entered into the nasal cavity. So this is the process that we have carried out for the lacrimal nasal drainage system. Okay, so this is the process they have given here. So the lacrimal system, it is a physiological system which containing the orbital structures for the tear productions and the drainage. So which consists of the lacrimal glands, which secretes the tears, and its excretory duct, which convey the fluid to the surface of the human eye. It is the serous glands located in the lacrimal fossa. It is a J-shaped gland. Then the lacrimal canicula is there, the lacrimal sac is there, and the nasolacrimal duct is there, by which the fluid is conveyed into the cavity of the nose and emptying inferiorly to the inferior nasal concha from the nasolacrimal duct. So this is the process for the lacrimal drainage system. Now we'll move to the next point is the tears. So what are the tears? Basically, the tears we can call as a it is a clear liquid secreted by the glands, mostly known as the tear ducts or the lacrimal glands, the tear glands, which are found in the eye of all the land mammals except the goats and the rabbits. So their functions include the lubricating the eyes, means vessel tears. Vessel tears, that means in a healthy mammalian eye, the cornea is continuously kept wet and nourished by the vessel tears. So they lubricate the eye and help to keep it clear of the dust. So this particular tear fluids contain the mucin, lipid, lysosomes, glucose, urea, sodium, potassium. So these particular substances of the lacrimal fluids, they are fight against the bacterial infections as a part of the immune systems. Then removing irritants are there, reflex tears are there. So these second types of tears which are result from the irritations of the eye by foreign particles or from the presence of the irritant substance like onion vapors means काही वेळा आपल्याला कांदा चिरताना वगैरे डोळ्यात पाणी येतं किंवा फ्युम्स असतात काही की ज्याच्यामुळे आपल्याला इरिटेशन्स होतं. So these are called as the reflex tears. Tear gas is there also, or some conditions in environment, more smoke असेल. So basically they are called as the removing irritants. So these reflux tears, they are attempt to wash out irritants that may have come in contact with the eyes and aiding the immune systems. And last one part they have not mentioned here is the emotional tears. So basically the third category, emotional tears that we all know, psychic tears they have called. So is increased tearing due to the strong emotional stress or the sometimes in pleasures also or sometimes in angers also or sometimes suffering from the physical pain. So these are called as the crying or the weeping or also called as the emotional tears. So basically as we know most of the times we have cried because of having some pains. Also, we have cried because of when we are extremely happy. So first times, this particular emotional tears and basically these particular cyclic tears are formed. So basically, they contain the protein-based hormones like prolactins are there, corticotropic hormones are there. So they are secreted during the formations of the emotional tears. So basically, emotional tears they brought about by emotions have means they represent the emotion apart from the reflex tears and the basal tears. So tears also occurs as a part of the body's natural pain response. So humans are the only mammals known to produce the tears as a part of an emotional response, such as the joy or grief. So just now I have discussed the third part of tears, that is emotional tears. So basically, tears these are made up of three layers: lipid, aqueous, and mucus layers. So tears are composed by water, salts, antibiotics, and some lysosomes. Means like some antibacterial enzymes are there. Though compositions varies among the different tiers, just now we have discussed की वेसल मध्ये काय असतं किंवा रिफ्लेक्स टियर्स मध्ये काय असतं कशामुळे होतं ते. So the compositions of the tears which is caused by the emotions differs from that of the tears or the reactions to the irritant. Just now I have discussed regarding the uh, sorry, reflex tears. So, these tears which is occurs because of the means these are tears result from the irritations of the eyes, like fumes, onion fumes, dust, or the allergies also. So emotional tears which containing the higher concentration of the stress hormones like adrenocorticotropic hormones and leucine and enkephalin, which suggests that the emotional tear plays a biological role in balancing the hormones layer basically. So what it consists? So in a liquid layers mostly contain the oils which functions to coat the aqueous layer and provide the hydrophobic barrier that envelops the tears and prevents their spilling into the cheek. So that is the lipid layer is there. In an aqueous layer, they promote the spreading of tear film, and control of infectious agents and osmotic regulations. And the mucus layer is there. The mucin formations are there that will be carried out in this particular eyes preparation. So we'll see the tear film, how it is formed, procorneal tear film. So the tear film which is in a direct contact with the conjunctiva and the cornea. So it is the second line of ocular surface defense after the lid. Means ocular surface defensing mechanism जे आहे. First thing our lid that protects our eye. The second thing that protects is the precorneal tear film, which is prepared, which is made up of five different parts we will discuss under the cornea parts. So the precorneal tear film is not secreted as a complete solution. Instead, its numerous components are secreted from the various diverse glands and structures distributed around the eye. So basically, precorneal tear film is it is not a complete solution. Instead of that, there are various components are there which is secreted from the various glands and they form one structures which is distributed around the eyes and they will protect the eye surface, the ocular surface. So the defense mechanism is provided by this particular precorneal tear film. So these are the physiochemical characteristics of human precorneal tear film, which is having the volume of 7 to 9 microliter, basal secretion rate 1 to 2 microliter, thickness is 6.5 micron, pH is 7.3 to 7.7, osmolarity that is important in all the ophthalmic formulations. So osmolarity of our precorneal tear film is 296 to 308 milliosmolar per liter. Refractive index is 1.3361 to 1.3379. Viscosity is 1 to 100 centipoise and evaporation rate is 10.1 into 10 raised to minus 7 gram per centimeters per seconds. So these are the physiochemical characteristics of the human precorneal tear film. So whenever we are formulating any formulations that we have delivered into the eyes, we have to consider these factors because these factors ultimately affect on your availability, bioavailability of the that particular formulations in ocular surface. So that's why the volume, the secretion rate, the pH of your precorneal tear film, the osmolarity and the viscosity and along with that the evaporation rate also, depending upon these factors, the available volume or the available drug content for our ocular drug delivery that we can determine. So that's why we have to study this factor previous to the formulations of any ophthalmic preparations. So we'll discuss in details about these factors in formulation considerations also. So I just mentioned here the different physiochemical characteristics of precorneal tear film. So this tear film, which is typically made up of the three layers, as we already discussed, lipid, aqueous, and mucus. And it has now been demonstrated that there is no clear-cut barrier between these layers. You will see one image here. So the three layers tear films, which consist the inner mucous layer or the mucin layer, which is in direct contact with the epithelial cells of the cornea and conjunctiva, middle aqueous layer or the watery layer, and the outer lipid layer, which is limits the tear evaporations. If you have gone through the anatomy of our eye that I have discussed in part 1, so in that lectures I have discussed regarding the liquids which are present, watery fumus and glossy fumus are there, which presents in between the watery aqueous humor, that is present in between the cornea and our lens, aqueous humor, and vitreous humor, which is present between the lens and the retina. So we can say there is a specific layers are there, so they are directly comes in contact with this particular tears film. So here we can see the examples. This is our lipid layer. This is our aqueous layer, which is containing about 8 containing dissolved substances, which is about 8 micron in size. Then this is the mucin layer, 0.02 micron to 0.5 micron, and then last one, the corneal epithelium. So these are the three different layers are there. So we can again see mucin layer, which is directly contact with the epithelial cell of the cornea and the conjunctiva. The middle aqueous layer is there, and last one, that is our lipid layer or the oily layers are there. So this is the basic structures of our tear film. Now the basically mucin layer, which consists of the mucus that helps the tears to spread evenly and adhere to the epithelial surface of the cornea, and which also allows the eye to remain the wet. Dry eye syndrome वगैरह तुम्ही ऐकले असाल. So basically this particular mucin layer that prevents the dry eye syndrome, so allows the eyes to remain the wet and also aids the lubrications of the eye. That is the first layer, that is the mucin layer is there. Second one, the middle aqueous layer, which is made up of the majority of the tear films and contain mostly water, nutrients and ions that are important to the health of the eyes and keep the eyes moist. And the outermost lipid layer, which prevents the evaporations of the tears from the surface of the eye and maintains the surface tensions, and that's why here we require the lipid layer, so that they will maintain the surface tensions between the these aqueous layers and the lipid parts in our body. This particular mucin layer that provide the mucin secretions, so that eye will be the wet or remain wet, and lubrications of the eye will be provided. Aqueous layers त्याच्यामध्ये totally water and nutrient contents आहेत, so they will keep eye moist and they provide the nutritional supplement for the eye surface. Now the cornea and the tear film. Cornea that we have already discussed. Just 1 minute, I will show you once again what exactly the cornea is. Here, this part is very much important part in our system. So this convex shaped part we call as a cornea. So the cornea and these veins, they have togetherly create uh, one converging lens system, or they form converging lens systems. So the lights which are traveled from the cornea to the lens, basically pupils are present, see the iris. So through the pupils, whenever the light is passed. So here, as already we discussed, in an anterior chamber there is a watery humors are there, and here the vitreous fluids are there. So the reflections and the reflections will be carried out here. So we'll discuss in detail about the cornea and the tear films and the corneal relationship here. So cornea and the tear films, which is prepared with the help of these different biomembranes. Epithelium, first is the tear film. Epithelium stroma is there. Then Bowman's membrane is there, and the cement membrane is there. And last one, that is a endothelium. That we'll discuss one by one in detail. So the cornea, which is the clear front surface of the eyes, and which is lies directly in front of the iris and the pupil, and allows lights to enter the eyes. In anatomy also I have discussed how this particular cornea plays important roles to get the image properly. So if you are viewed from the front of the eyes, the cornea appears slightly wider. This is because the sclera, whitish portions are there, which is slightly overlaps the top and the bottom of the anterior cornea. So that's why it appears slightly wider than it is tall. Then the horizontal diameter of the cornea, which is measured about 12 millimeters, and the vertical diameter is about 11 millimeters. So when viewed from the front, but if you are viewed from behind the cornea, which is appears circular, with a uniform diameter of approximately 11.7 millimeters. So this is the structural design they are given for the cornea. The center thickness of the average cornea is about 550 microns and slightly more than half millimeters. So now the cornea has a 5 layers: the corneal epithelium, stroma, endothelium, Brown's membranes, and the cement membranes. So corneal epithelium, this is the outer layer of the cornea, which is a 5 to 7 cell thick and measures about 50 microns. So these are epithelium layer. This is our epithelium layer. So which contains 5 to 7 layers of 5 to 7 cells thick and measures about 50 microns. So making it slightly less than 10% of the thickness of the total entire cornea. So epithelial cells, which are constantly being produced as flow of in tears layers of the surface of the eyes, the turnover time for the entire corneal epithelium is about 1 week. Like skin cells, like our stratum corneum is there, where we have mostly epitheliums are present, epithelial cells are present, and they are generated, regenerated continuously. So these are likewise. Here are the corneal epitheliums are there, which is the outer layer of the cornea, which is made up of the 5 to 7 cell thick and measures about 50 microns, and they are constantly being reproduced. So the reproducing times, which is about 1 week. Second layer, that is the Bowman's layers is there, which is a very thin and dense fibrous sheets of connective tissue that forms the tension between the corneal epithelium and the underlying stroma. So here this is called as a Bowman's membranes that slightly form one layers which is in connections with our stroma and our epithelium. So they provides the uh, uh, that forms the transitions between the corneal epithelium and the underlying stroma. Now the third layer is the corneal stroma. This is the middle layer of the cornea, which is approximately 50 micron thick, 500 micron thick, and about 90% of the thickness of the overall cornea. This is the very much important layer of cornea, we can say. Out of these 5 layers, first is epithelium, second one corneal epithelium, second one Bowman's layers, and third one the corneal stroma. So it is composed of the strands of the connective tissues we call as the collagen fibrils, and these fibrils are uniform in size and are arranged parallel to the cornea surface in 200 to 300 flat bundles, which are called as a lamellae, that extend across the entire cornea. So the regular arrangements and uniform spacing of these lamella is what enables the cornea to be perfectly clear. So here you can see collagen fibrils and lamella. Here they are parallelly arranged to the cornea. parallelly arranged to the corneal surface. Then coat membrane, that is the decimate membrane. So decimate membrane, which is a very thin layer which separates the stroma from the underlying endothelial layer of the cornea. Decimes membrane which are thickened throughout the life. So it is about 5 micron thick in children and 15 micron thick in adults. So this is decimate membrane. Decimate coat membrane is there. This is our first membrane, second membrane our Bowman's membrane, third membrane is our stoma, fourth membrane decimate membranes, and last membrane our fifth membrane is our endothelium. These are the five layer membranes of cornea. We have seen the functions of the cornea in anatomy also, and in details now we are discussing about the cornea. So the corneal endothelium, which is the innermost layer of the cornea. At the back of the endothelium is path with clear aqueous humor that fills the space between the cornea and the iris and the pupils. So as already I have discussed, ज्यावेळी आपण anatomy of आय बघितलं होतं तर त्याच्यामध्ये here the cornea and lens त्याच्यामध्ये जो space आहे which is filled with the watery uh, fluids, so that watery fluids that helps these particular regions with helps to avoid the dryness of our eyes. So that plays very important role here. So the corneal endothelium. So this is the innermost layer of the cornea, and which is backed with the clear aqueous humus that fills the space between the cornea and the iris and the pupils. It is only a single layer cell thick, which are about 5 micron. Most of the endothelial cells are hexagonal, but some may have the 5 or the 7 sides also. And the regular arrangement of this cell is sometimes called as a endothelial mosaic structure that we all know. So this is all regarding the cornea. So till now we have covered the anatomical parts of our uh, eye. So basically in this totally we have covered these points like a physiology of eye, lacrimal system also we have discussed, tears and the precorneal tear film and cornea that also we have discussed. Now the one point remaining, the introductory part is the oral biocompatibility. So that we'll discuss in a next lecture. Okay, so we'll stop here.